Oh, there it is.
Do you want bubbly water?
Yes. "5 minutes. I need a throat lozenge."
Okay.
Oh, good morning. We've been having a lot of rain lately, and now it's sunny, which means everything pollinates. I'm allergic to cypress and cedar pollen, with a big old cedar tree in the backyard.
Don't
So,
forget your microphone.
you think they can hear this? Lozenges. I knew they were in there. Microphone. Cord bilbla. Okay, probably you can all hear me. I'm having an allergic attack this morning because the sun's out after a couple of days of rain, which means everything's going into pollen. And I have a big old cedar tree, and I'm allergic to cedar and cypress pollen. So, I will be teaching you this morning, but I will be snorkeling and eating cough lozenges while I do so. Oh, and you can go ahead and start YouTube.
Yes. Okay.
Snorkel hawk.
Yeah.
These help. Somebody found them for me out in Holland, North Holland, and they're Icelandic Keel pastilles. St. Christopher is the brand. If you ever see them and you're in North Holland, grab me a bunch. We'll worry out afterwards how to get them to me, and I'll send you money as soon as you get them. You'll find them sometimes in grocery stores. They work. I will stop being hoarse and froggy in a moment. So today's teaching is on the symbolic meaning of reality and how it relates to the winter festival across culture. Across agricultural culture. Different in hunter-gatherer, different pattern, different set of holidays. But once a culture reaches agriculture, having experienced the agricultural revolution, the holidays and celebrations have to change to fit in with growing seasons, whereas they fit in with herd migrations in hunter-gatherer. In the winter, everywhere during its winter, there is less light and more dark, more time of dark. I'm waiting for this to have enough work that I can chant. Because of the way the earth tilts away from the sun, because of the fact in flat earth realities, the sun spends more time over other parts of the disk. For both these reasons, dark is ascendant and light is descendant from fall equinox to winter solstice. It begins to reascend the light from winter solstice to spring equinox. So the winter holidays will generally be found according to the land and the culture and what is doable in that climate, somewhere between fall equinox and spring equinox. Some, like the Tibetan New Year's, move around. They happen as soon after winter solstice and before spring equinox. That first thaw is imminent. Travel is possible again. The deep cold of winter is past. In India, a very different climate. Diwali happens somewhere between fall equinox and winter solstice. Both of these two are based on lunar calendars rather than solar calendars, so they move around a bit on the solar calendar. And it is during a time when the climate is cool enough, but still pleasant enough to be out at night. And all these festivals, including the Western Solstice Festival of the Druids, a culture which, because of Britain's, that little island with so many colonies everywhere, influencing so many cultures everywhere, the old Druid solstice holiday, Christianized as Christmas, which is also about light. Has spread and occurs throughout the world. I think I can do this now. Chuku kundu zongbo gomboyi dorji sampagara dorji dang sire singe badu shin labde de danabsan tata tusum chi Zogchen jupe lamala solwa de again peme junela solwa de dorji chang chi tilo narudang marpa mila gompo tsatsapa na pupadang paldendrupa suk kagulama namla solwa de o chen lama namla solwa de Nru chen lama namla solwa de Kaginwati lama namla solwa de Shakya lama namla solwa de Nyendu dang yundrun lama namla solwa de Kondu zhong dang yerme pa gon garab dorji jin trak pa jeti dang nisume pa lamanam che tenter chong. Most of you are of more or less a Judeo-Christian background. Not all of you. We have people with the Hindu background among you who celebrate Diwali as the festival of lights, often in early December, sometimes in late October, where you light oil lamps everywhere, gather with friends and eat sweet things, clean things, make nice, decorate, set up the altar. Nowadays, the kind of Christmas lights that we hang at Christmas in America, all over India, everywhere go up for Diwali, Festival of Lights, although people still use the little traditional oil lamps on their window ledges and on their altars. They're usually made of clay and disposable. You leave them outside, they burn out during the night, they fall off the lead, nobody cares much. They're made of simply low-fired, cheap clay that will hold oil and a wick long enough. Losar, which comes in the spring thaws. You see, in the middle of winter, at Winter Solstice, in Tibet, in northern China, you ain't going nowhere. You're kind of hibernating, maybe making stuff. It's too cold out, the weather is too inclement, you can't get anywhere walking without danger of frostbite. So you stay home. You do the minimums. You hang out by the fire and drink hot tea. And make it through until thaw, when it's time to celebrate the light coming back. the warmth coming back and the light. So those of you of Asian culture who celebrate a new year, somewhere in late January, early February, can run as late as March because it's on a lunar calendar, will find that that one is very similar. People come together, eat things, and you light butter lamps. You light up your altar with all the butter lamps. You don't light the outside so much. It's still pretty cold. But all the inside is cleaned up, refreshed. If you're going to have new clothes that year, you get them for then. You dress up. It's now just thawed enough, the weather is just good enough that you can get over and visit your neighbors without risking frostbite. So everybody visits everybody for 10 days and eats cookies, kapsa, and light on the altar. Butter lamps there. Do you see what's running through this? What do we do in the winter holidays in the West? In the Druid-descended Judeo-Christian cultures. We light lights. We don't do altars so much in this culture since God is seen as more amorphous and less specific, and there is less dependence on symbols, less understanding of the symbolic nature of realities. But still, we bring an evergreen tree and its bottom boughs into the house. Would you show just the greens hanging around and the evergreen tree by moving the camera?
Okay.
This is an example. However you want to do it, you can pick up the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. It's, there we go. Now I can pull this.
This is old school traditional, from the Druid time. Plants that stay green brought into the house. Blooming plants if you can get them. You're turning it. Okay, like that.
Okay, good?
Yes.
All right.
And this symbolizes the return of life. And then the light. The tree isn't lit up because it's daytime, but the tree gets lit up. Old style candles. New style, all sorts of funny things you can get. Bubble lights. Color change lights. Offering light, and people outside, and this is the most important part. People offer, you've got this slanted. People offer light to each other by decorating the outside with the light. The dark, now it's slanted the other way. Okay, that's straight. Only for the Virgos out there so they don't feel crazy about it. Perfect.
Okay.
So you have the light. Light, and people get together in each other's houses and eat cookies. So you're going to find that these two things run through. And these two things are actually part of the same symbol when you begin to examine the symbolic nature of the realities you experience. So, gathering of people, that's become problematic in COVID. Some people are gathering on Zoom, some people aren't. It's a funny year. But in general, we gather and eat cookies and other delicate things, dried fruits, breads with dried fruits in them. The last of the previous harvest, feasting with what would probably go off if we kept it much longer from the last harvest. And a gathering, coming together, interacting, intercommunicating, and light, the offering of light to all and sundry to the universe. One of the most auspicious things you can do this season is put lights outside your house. Doesn't even have to be a lot. Put them in the windows. Funny. I bought and sent to my daughter, who said she wanted to do this. She has very, very bad karma and does not understand karma at all in order to improve it, unfortunately. So she said she wanted to put up outside lights, and of course, having very bad karma, she has no money. She has no wealth karma because she never gives anything away, hardly. She wants, grasps rather than releases. And this leads to the experience of poverty. So I figured, let's run a spell without doing it in order to create good karma. So I didn't tell her how it works. I sent her all the lights to decorate the outside of her house in the colors she asked for. She put up a few of them inside and hoarded the rest in her storage. She couldn't do it. She couldn't manage to offer light to the universe. And she had so many reasons. The weather was bad, she didn't feel good. Not the reasons. The reasons were her karma manifesting to make it difficult to change her karma. I thought maybe sending the lights could hit a pivot, but it's too entrenched. Sometimes a karma is so strong that you cannot do the things you need to, even with people helping you, assisting you to change that karma. You cannot hear it. You have thousands of very real reasons why you can't do that. And you simply can't change it. It's like the practice for depression. Yeah, there's a specific practice for depression. What I have found is that people who will not take antidepressive medications, who have an actual clinical depression rather than a situational beginning one that could go clinical if it hangs out long enough, but people with an actual entrenched clinical depression, they cannot do this practice even if they want to. And it's a simple little practice. They simply cannot do it unless they take the meds. Now, if they do the practice day in, day out for a long period of time, they may eventually be able, under a doctor's treatment, to taper off the meds. But they can't start without them. And we've tried. People who don't want to take the meds, who want to do this practice. And they say they will. And they say they're gonna. And 10,000 reasons occur that they can't. It's not their fault. It's their karma. It's too strong, the karma of depression. Because reality exists in symbols. And karma reacts to the symbolic nature of your choices and deeds. So, small things. Putting up bird feeders, especially in this season where in the Midwest, starving birds, due to climate change, have been falling out of the sky dead. Lots of them. They autopsied a bunch. They died of long-term starvation. Most of them insect eaters, but most birds can eat bugs and seeds. I had a hummingbird so hungry it dive-bombed, because I used to have a hummingbird feeder out and I'd been remiss. It dive-bombed my fucking head 3 times. And then went to where the feeder used to be and looked at me and then dive-bombed me again. It's like, get your act together, I'm hungry. And yet, putting those things out, your bird feeders, I have them in front and behind, both hummingbird and seed eaters. And I grow flowers for pollinators when I can. I'm not much of a gardener in that When I was traveling, it was hopeless. Now that I'm at one place, it's getting better. But I'm getting older, so I can do less of the really deep digging. But I do plant wildflowers for pollinators, especially California natives here in California. Each one of these almost symbolic actions is symbol of offering food. I've done this kind of thing all my life, which is why I have this weird food karma. I have been in places in traveling where there is a famine, except for within 30 feet of me. Wherever I'm sitting, there's plenty of food for anyone who comes within 30 feet of me. Even in places where there's a severe famine going on, I just have to go there and hang out. Food happens to me. I can't starve. Karma. When I was a Indian sadhu, I had disciples following me around in the jungles, and I was 19, 20. But they followed me for the food. I could manifest food magically. I'm also a really good cook. What do you do with all the food that comes at you? You cook it for people. I'm trying to make a point here by telling stories. Karma works with symbols. The symbol, the little bitty symbol of the generosity of a bird feeder, the effort of keeping it full. I have a critter feeder in the pear tree out back that I fill with corn, stale bread, the occasional leftovers that a squirrel might like, carrot ends, things like this. I have a happy squirrel who also comes right up to the window if that feeder goes empty and starts banging on my window of my bedroom. These symbols. I am able to experience poverty, lack of money, but not starvation. And I find it rather difficult to experience lack of an acceptable shelter. Of course, my line about what's acceptable to me is pretty low. I like living in caves and tents and the wild, and probably would do okay in the summer under a bridge. The more you give. I had a friend, a dear friend, who was beset by poverty. An old lover who was no longer a lover and was now a dear friend, having decided he rather entirely preferred men. And he was so beset with poverty that I gave him all the change in the piggy banks and the pocket change lying around the house. It was a bag. And sent him out and said, go find beggars and give this to them. Just give it away. Let's tip your karma. He's a practitioner, so he understood what we were doing. And he agreed to do this, and you know something? This is San Francisco. There's panhandlers everywhere. He could not find one. For 4 days, 5 days, he would go out every day. And of course, that was diminishing because he'd get himself a cup of tea or some lunch out of it. Because, you get hungry if you're out all day looking for beggars. And he couldn't find any. Finally, around the 5th or 6th day, it broke and he was able to give the remains away. And then slowly his karma turned. And although he doesn't quite have my karma with wealth flow, it has improved from that point when he was broke and homeless and living, I think, in a tent under my porch. I think I had people living in all the rooms inside the house by then, and that's what was left. But it was summer, and it was quite nice tent, and it was a very sweet area in the garden. The point I'm trying to make is work karma symbolically to improve the flow of your life with the clear understanding that some past karma is entrenched enough that this is not going to be easy or even possible in some instances. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault that your predecessor in the mind stream, who had a very different personality from the one you have now, different genetics, a whole different set of interactions, different cultures, did a large amount of digpa, causing strife and stress around themselves in the mandala. That was not you as you are now. And yet it was enough of your pre-ancestor of you. It was in your mind stream. If you remember those times, you will remember it as an I, and see how much you've changed. But some of that may be so entrenched that it may take a long time and a lot of different tries to fix it. Nyando, in comments, keep an eye out to see if people are asking for that fixes depression.
Yes, they are.
They are asking.
They
I
are
thought they
asking.
might be. Okay, I'll teach that to you. Those of you who are suffering from depression and wish to use this, go get a pencil and paper. It's gonna skitter. If your karma is strongly to be depressed, you won't remember it. You won't remember it accurately. And there'll be 10,000 reasons not to do it. But if you can manage to do it anyway, it works. This teaching was given in response to a question asked by Lama Thupten Yeshi back in the 70s, I think, maybe even the 60s. So it runs a Gelugpa line, but it is not lineage specific. Go get a pencil and paper, pen and paper, something to write on you can keep. Open up your iPad to notes. However you're going to do it, do that before I start. Because it's going to skitter for some of you. And your subconscious that wishes to maintain the status quo is going to misunderstand and misremember and do everything it can to fight this. Because of the strong karma, and karma manifests in a couple of ways. It manifests in the result, which is coming at you and seems to be coming from outside, but is actually in your interpretation of physical sensations and not outside. It also arises as habits. The habit, the incredibly strong habit that you can't do otherwise than you have been doing. Inertia. Can't shift it. Even if you know intellectually all the intellectual causes, reasons, and everything else, there are 10,000 reasons that you just can't shift. So we're going to try to work around some of these. And the first is I don't remember exactly what she said, or remembering it differently and not doing it effectively. Y'all got your pencils and paper by now? 1. Walk out your door outside of your house every day. In times of lockdown and COVID danger, into the yard will do, but the porch won't. It is better to leave your property. Yes, simply don't do this because you occasionally get in a funk and miss a day. That will happen. Try to do it every day. With good effect, you'll end up at least managing it 5 times a week. That will be enough to work. Go out walking. If you cannot walk in your wheelchair, not driving, in a car, not insulated, open to the air, the sun and the rain and the sky. The instructions we were given was walk, but there may be people who cannot do that, and that's not an excuse not to do this. You've probably got a scooter or a power chair or something, and if you don't and you're in the Bay Area, contact me, I have a spare. Leave your house and property. Go to the park, go around the block. Find a being that is happy in this moment. A dog will be going on a walk with its person. They're always happy. An old guy with a toupee in a sports car who thinks he's the cat's meow. He's happy. That'll do. You don't have to approve of what the person's happy about. You just have to find somebody or something happy. Think to yourself and mutter out loud. If you're afraid of being seen talking to yourself, do this with an earbud in. People will assume you're on the cell phone. Say, think, feel. How wonderful this being is so happy. I wish all beings in the universe could experience such happinesses. Just that, exactly that. Rejoice in that being's happiness. Do not try to be happy. Do not try to emulate it being happy. Do not try to take on its happiness. Don't pull. Push. When you have done that, keep walking. Find another living being. Do it again. Your minimum is 3 times. A flock of birds that have found a stale loaf of bread counts as 1, not 3, even though there are many birds in it. 3 occasions. Bit harder to do in the rain. Bit easy to do when the weather's nice because critters get happy easy. A couple in love holding hands walking down the street are happy. That works. You don't have to know why they're happy. You can tell by looking at somebody that they're happy in this moment. Body language, facial expression. Three separate times in one walk, or more if you feel for it. 3 is your minimum. 4 days a week is your minimum, but you won't succeed at that unless you try to do it every day. If you manage it every day, it will work twice as fast as 4 days out of 7. It's a very simple practice. It's called Yirang. Yesu Yirang. Can you do that? It takes anywhere from a few weeks to a couple of months to have effect. You have to keep doing it for about 3 to 6 months. And you have to continue doing it if you choose to, with working with a prescribing physician, taper your meds. You have to keep doing it during that. And a good 3 to 6 months after you're done with that. And then drop to a maintenance level. Maintenance level. I'll talk with you when you get there. After it has worked well for you, there is a maintenance level to keep it from reverting, because that old karma's probably hanging somewhere. A maintenance level of doing this practice, but I don't want to teach you now because you're going to move to maintenance level too soon. So I'll teach you. You just email me. I'll get to it. If you have questions about this, type them in. How does this work? There's other things you can do to synergize with this, such as always offering light. I don't know if you can see the light on this in the broad daylight.
It's kind of showing.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's showing up a little bit.
I use electric votives on my altar inside a butter lamp because I live in a wooden house. Fire danger. I don't want to use a live flame when I'm not going to be present, and putting out a flame is inauspicious. This is why Rinpoche was so shocked by the birthday custom of blowing out the candles. He said, no, the birthday person should light the candles on the altar to create a longer life, not blow them out to create a sooner death. So, in tandem with this practice, offerings of light to symbols of mind, to symbols of the true happiness of your own innate Buddha nature. We have questions on this?
Oh, yes.
Give me a few.
I'm a therapist. Is it okay to share this depression practice with my clients if I sense it would be a good fit for them?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, you do not need to put it in any kind of religious context. And you can name it in English. You don't have to give it with the Tibetan name. It works. The offering of light is more problematic. But if you can get them to do it, it'll help. If they're not altar keepers, offering of light outside their house, leaving the porch light on overnight, putting little lights in their front garden that stay there so that the street is less spooky and more cheerful. For the sake of passerbys, offering of light, if you have a way to explain why they should do this that fits within their paradigm, it synergizes with this practice. Next question.
Can we do a similar practice for wealth? Find rich folks experiencing wealth and wish it on all beings?
Nope.
That won't work.
Nope. If you want to do a practice for wealth, it is a different practice. You give stuff away. Every bit of excess, give it away. Feed the birds, feed the squirrels, feed the hummingbirds, donate to the charity shops, all the stuff you're not wearing anymore, all the clutter in your kitchen, all the stuff that you don't care about dusting anymore. Give it away. After you have bought your groceries, paid your bills, put the appropriate amount into your assorted savings, after you've figured it out, there should be something remaining if you're not living exceptionally high on the hog. If you're living a normal life, give it away. That brings wealth. That synergizes within Tibetan traditional practices with the practice of either the 21 taras, that particular song, or the practice of any one of the golden ones among them. If you like, and put this request in the forum where Alyssa can see it and figure out. She's pretty good at figuring out what people want from me for public retreats. I will teach again how to do that. It is the practice, just as the offering of light synergizes with the anti-depression Yesuyirang practice. So the giving away of stuff synergizes with the Golden Tara practices. Next question.
What is the name for the depression practice? Do you know how it's spelled?
I haven't a clue. I'm guessing YESHU dash YEYI, not YE, RANG.
Yeshu Yirang?
Yep. I'm pretty sure of the spelling of Yirang in English, but the Yeshu, I haven't really seen it written in Tibetan. I have seen Yirang, and YIRANG will do. This was a verbal teaching given in Nepal. It's probably somewhere in the Lama Yeshe archives for those of you who have access to those. Next question.
Can the depression practice be used for other emotional disturbances like anxiety, hypochondria?
No. There are different practices for these. Anxiety, your best practice is Mani's and the Chenrezig sadhana. What was the other thing she asked?
It was about hypochondria. Can you do the same thing for health if you suffer from hypochondria and always thinking you're sick?
Medicine Buddha, I would guess. No, let me take that back. I have never addressed that one. Let me flip through the old files to see what I have heard in different teachings. I'm old, it's slow, there's a lot of crap in there. And a lot of beautiful stuff. It's just my filing system isn't the best. hypochondria and anxiety use the same one. Manny's. It's just a particular flavor of the general category of anxiety. Vajrasattva is also used to clear up old karmas. It is done at length as part of a recapitulation of your lives. You remember, you sit there on your seat saying the mantra with the visualization until you're thoroughly bored and your mind wanders. Where do you send it to wander when it will? You send it to remember past deeds, this life and others. And so you remember them and clean out the residue from each one, visualizing the residue as caught in your chakras and channel body, like bugs caught in a spider web, scorpions, centipedes, not millipedes, they're cute. Uncute bugs. Spiders, if you don't like spiders. Icky bugs. Icky little critters. Whatever little critter you perceive as icky. I happen to really like bugs and reptiles, so it was really hard for me to find any that symbolized ick for me. But I was fairly wary of the scorpions and centipedes. Don't try this at home, but the sadhus did teach me to suck scorpions, and it's a weird high. You have to catch them with chopsticks. And you can't have any bad gums when you do it, because it can't get into your bloodstream. It has to go through the digestive tract. Do not try this at home without supervision of some crazy Hindu yogi who knows how. It's the Kali sadhus that do this one. But there were so many scorpions, I guess they had to find a use for them. Anyway, I use centipedes and scorpions because of their venomousness and a few images of Australian highly venomous snakes and spiders. Use what you don't like. Visualize the deeds, creating little patterns in your filaments that come alive as critters and get washed out your lower orifices while visualizing Vajrasattva on the crown of your head. I will be teaching that also. Nayanda, can you make a note somewhere of what I just promised to teach so that I can work on getting them out? I'm going to teach it privately to the Nundro group.
Yeah, the name of the teaching?
Vajrasattva.
Okay, Vajrasattva.
And 21 Taras again. If I get enough people interested. You got to go on the forum, probable teachings, and put in your 2 cents saying, yeah, I want that one. Yeah, I'll come to that one. And if enough people seem to want one, I'll do it. I'm here for you, not for me. So, we were talking about Vajrasattva, which also clears karma, and how it's done. I'll teach it twice, once for the Nundro group in the context of the Nundro and how it fits there, and once for the general public, for people who don't have any particular desire to do an extraordinary Nundro, which is fine, but would like to utilize this particular practice for the benefit of cleaning up some karma that's bothering them or bothering others. Any other questions on these practices I just taught?
Yeah, a couple of people asked about using it for physical health.
No.
That's more medicine Buddha, yes?
No,
something
for
else?
physical health, it depends on what the problem is. That's going to be individual. If it is a physical health problem, email me and I will recommend a practice about it. But there's too many different kinds of physical problems. Allergies. Zogchen.
Yeah.
Because you live with them. You take an anti-allergy pill and you do Zogchen Trekche in order to live with the manifestations of your own karma happily without needing to fight every one of them. That will be coming in a few moments. How to work with the symbols of the winter solstice, light and gathering. But I just want to finish up any of these questions on what has come up.
Here's a good question. Does the depression practice work if at that moment it's just intellectual wishing, not something you feel as you express the...
If you keep doing it intellectually, you will eventually figure out how to feel it, and then it will work better. But starting it, even if you can only do it intellectually, is what will lead to you to figure out how to get yourself to feel it. Do you understand the answer here? Because it's a yes and no answer. Next.
Let's see. There was a similar question. Is there a practice to improve love karma? Or something similar to this?
Manis. And stop looking and grabbing at it together. Stop trying to find your soulmate and be, if you are female, the soulmate of all form. If you are male, energy, not what's dangling or not dangling between your legs. But if you are more female type energy, yin-natured, your soulmate is all form in the universe. The dance of form as emptiness, the form aspect, which is Bodhisattva. Recognize your soulmate. If you are more yang-natured, masculine, doesn't matter whether you got an innie or an outie. It's how your energies run. Recognize the infinite openness of sky space. The all-encompassing mother ocean of Dharmakaya as your soulmate. And love her. It is the Pawo Khandro Daka Dakini essence. When you take refuge, Lama Yidam Khandro La Chapsu Chiwo, the teacher who holds open the doors and points the way out. The archetypical dance of symbols which permeates all life. Idioms. Pawo Khandro form. Beauty of form, dance of form, love of the dance of vitality as form and beauty. Pawo. Kandro. Infinite, open, spacious. Fire all of my guns at once and blast off into space. That orgasm. That soulmate. Dissipating, consumed, consuming. Open. There is your soulmate. This little bitty, is it him? Is it her? Is it him? No, not quite right. That doesn't work. And you've probably got a broken picker. Me, I pick bad boys. And good girls. Both are problematic. Any other questions before I move on to symbols, which is what this is really supposed to be about, but there were other things that needed to be said at the time.
I'm looking for the question because it's actually it's related to something you just said. Where is it? Well, someone had asked.
You paraphrase.
I'll paraphrase it because I can't find the exact question now. Someone had said in earlier teachings, you had mentioned the idea of inviting everyone onto your spaceship to join a spaceship crew. And can you talk more about that and explain it a little more?
Not here, but maybe at the end. There's something I don't want to leave out of this teaching, but after I finish, if there is more time, I'll go on to that, if you'll remind me, Nyanda.
Yes, I've made a note.
It has to do with the story of the great stupa in Nepal and the great Guru Rinpoche statue in Solpema. But let's see if we get to that, because this is what I really came to you to talk about today. About symbols, light and gathering, and how your intrinsic karma, both your individual mind stream karma and the group karma of your culture, species, dimension, manifest symbolically and are created symbolically. When we speak of Sambhogakaya, we are speaking of the realm of symbols. When we talk about Buddhism, Buddha, the three jewels, the union or the singularity of the infinite open awareness, the dance of symbols inherent in that as light, clear, transparent light, and the manifestation of all of that as form and the beauty of form and the dance of form, creating time and space. Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. See these. By manipulating your symbols, you manipulate reality. By manipulating the symbols in keeping an altar, you manipulate how you feel in that room. By refreshing the altar, it changes how you feel. How you feel changes how you behave. How you behave changes the karma you create. The karma you create changes the experiences you will have of the sensations of your 6 sense organs interpreted as perceptions. And your perceptions, together with the stories you tell yourselves about the whys and wherefores of them, and the feelings you feel about those stories, are your reality. This is Simple Magic 101. Anyone who has studied Wiccan, Yoruban, Druid, any magical, even Crowley understood this. It's Magic 101. I don't recommend Crowley. He got eaten by one of his demons like my dad did. I don't recommend my dad's systems either. So Magic 101 is basic. You manipulate your experienced reality by manipulating the symbols. This is Tantra in the Tibetan system. When you repeat again and again, the lights go in, the lights go out, they turn into this form, these syllables go round in circles here, this happens. And you do it every day, those symbols recreated, re-experienced, you change yourself by them. You change the entire pattern of how you experience the sensatorial input of your sense organs, which happen according to karma, like those little music boxes that have the rubber drum, and the drum turns and it plinks, it's got little pips on it, and it plinks the little harp thing. Have you ever seen the insides of one of those? I must get one someday so I can show you. It's like your karma playing, little pips. Except they're in your energy channels, and the chi is what flows over the pips, making what I think of as whistling noises, which are experienced as the 6 senses sensations. These are immediately interpreted into inside, outside, this thing, that thing, given a name, given a history. Then they roll up like a ball of yarn with all their attendant stories, connotations, and feelings. And that's your reality. But the very beginning is the experience of sensations. You manipulate the perception, which is the one level after the senses are experienced, where this becomes not just a bunch of dark light and color, but a butter lamp. You perceive on your computer screen a butter lamp. That's a perception. Your eyeballs are having a sensation. Your eardrums are having a sensation. That's not a butter lamp. If you had never in your life seen a butter lamp, if you had never seen a candle, if you were a wild forest-dwelling loon, what would you see? There's an old movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy, where a tribe finds a Coca-Cola bottle, and they've never seen it before. And so they have a perception, but the perception is not a Coca-Cola bottle. Your reality is in that whole bilbla of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions called inner and outer phenomena, even though they're not really inner and outer. They're going on in your filamental body, experienced as chi whistling over the little pips in your energy channels, making a whistling noise. That's a euphemism. It's not really a noise. You don't hear it with your ears. You experience it as sensations according to your karma. Karma is what puts those little bips there. Do you see? And you can manipulate the perception together with its thoughts and feelings using symbols. And this is Tantra. This is also Zogchen. I'm going to read you a bit from His Holiness Dzogchen Rinpoche, a very great teacher. In Dzogchen, without making a division in our meditation between perception and field of perception or perceiver of perception, don't become like a cat watching a mouse hole, waiting to pounce on Tawa. Don't withdraw from the world. Practice needs to be free and non-conceptual, unconstrained by introspection or concentration. Don't meditate. Meditate. Do you understand? Vast, unoriginated, self-luminous wisdom space of ground of being. Your soulmate, if you are young energy. The beginning and end of confusion. The presence of awareness in the primordial state has no bias towards enlightenment or non-enlightenment, meditation nor non-meditation. The ground of being, which is known as pure or original mind, is the source from which all phenomena arise. Your soulmate, that arising phenomena, dance of phenomena, symbolized by the Pao, if you are yin energy. And if you are non-specific, non-binary, dancing between the two, these are my words now, then they are both your soulmates. Love them, mate with them, and be satisfied. It is known as the Great Mother, as the womb of potentiality in which all things arise and dissolve in natural self-perfectedness and absolute spontaneity. The arising and dissolving in natural self-perfectedness and absolute spontaneity is the Pao, the Daka. The Great Mother, the womb of potentiality in which all things arise and dissolve, is the Dakini. Love. Bring the two together. Give birth to all and everything. All aspects of phenomena are completely clear and lucid. The whole universe is open and unobstructed. Everything is mutually interpenetrating. Can I have some more coffee? He didn't say coffee. This is the bringing together, gathering and eating cookies of the holiday season. Here's your symbol. Mutually interpenetrating. Do you understand? When possible, gather together. In the dark with light. Right now, all I can offer you in the time of COVID, and this won't be the last one. There's others coming. Let's hope we get a little break so I can travel again, for I'm too old. Between seriously contagious diseases wandering the world. The Mamos have awoken. The immune system of Gaia. This is me talking. I left the text for a moment. Understand what I am describing here, what His Holiness Dzogchen describes here, is the union of yin and yang energy as light. So gather together. All I can offer you is a forum where you can gather together with others who enjoy my teachings online, and I believe other teachers offer such as well. Google it. You'll find them here and there. Join the ones that sound fun. It's a gathering together. It's a Sangha, and it's the best you're going to do during the times of COVID. But understand that we still are interconnected and interpenetrating. And when we are unable to symbolize and work with the symbol of that properly, we start going mad. Which you probably have witnessed. We start subscribing to peculiar belief systems, following symbols, taking them literally, going down rabbit holes here and there, each one by ourselves, separating so that there is no mutual reality to be enjoyed. Everyone in their little Idaho. This is uncomfortable. Let's hope opportunities for the coming together over cookies return soon. And let's hope the system for creating vaccines remains in place, because this is not the last one that's going to happen. Not when you look at how it happened, what caused it. A combination of overpopulation and what the old Indian texts call cannibalism. Means meat eating. Seeing all things as naked, clear and free from obscurations, there is nothing to attain or realize. The nature of phenomena appears naturally and is naturally present in time transcending awareness. Right here, right now. In this now and every now while it's now. Your own innate Buddha nature is manifest. There is no other now than now. Enter it. See it. Neither meditating nor not meditating. Without doing, grasping, or shoving. Without separating or dragging together. The phenomena. The perceiver and the perception. Right now, right here. neither one nor many. Actualization is. No difference between path and fruition. No difference between confusion and wisdom. The dance of thoughts, insubstantial as always. The dance of feelings that ride with them the same. And the perceived phenomena, the perceiver of the phenomena, and the act of perceiving, the three jewels, just as it is. You don't need to fix this. It is so. You don't need to be good enough, better than you are, richer, prettier, younger, more loved. This now, and all the nows while they are now. Let the path and the fruition dissolve into each other. Everything is naturally perfect as it is. No, it's not what you think is perfect. That's a thought. Don't grab it. We don't have a better word than perfect, but you have a connotation to the word perfect as maybe peaceful, maybe happy, maybe warm. No, that's not what we mean. What you mean by perfect is not what is meant by the word perfect here. Look with your ye at mind itself. You are this mind without duality or separation. And in this, as this, right now, this now, just as it is. Even if you are in pain, in your back, your knee, that's part of this perfection. Even if you are in danger, safety does not mean perfection. See it for what it is. Symbols dancing with themselves, manifesting as all the phenomena of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, having no one whit of solidity anywhere, rising in mind and dissolving in mind, with mind meaning unlimited mind. They don't arise and dissolve in your little bitty personality named Joe. Big mind. Semni. That's the mind we mean. All phenomena appear in their uniqueness as part of a continually changing pattern. Dynamic. These patterns are vibrant with meaning and significance at every moment. Yet there is no significance to attach to such meanings beyond the moment in which they present themselves. Symbols. This is the dance of the 5 elements, in which matter is a symbol of energy and energy a symbol of emptiness. We are symbols of our own enlightenment. With no effort or practice whatsoever, liberation or enlightenment is already here, in this now, and all the nows while they are now. The everyday practice of Zogchen is just like everyday life itself. When you engage in meditation practice, it should be as natural as engaging in eating, breathing, and shitting. It should not become a specialized or formal event. We're talking about Dzogchen. Tantra's different. Tantra is specifically with manipulating symbols. Dzogchen is recognizing the nature, the symbolic nature of all phenomena. I have taught on working with thoughts. I have taught on working with feelings in Zoom retreats. Right now, I am talking about working with perceptions by the Zogchen method. This is the highest and last teaching. It may or may not go in, but in case it does, I will give it freely. For as Lopan Tenzin Namdak said to me, Dzogchen is about a man's own true nature. How can you keep a man's own true nature secret from himself? That would be wrong. Teach it freely. It is self-secret. You do not have to make it secret. Realize that meditation transcends effort, practice, aims, goals, and the duality of liberation and non-liberation. Keep trying to convince my students that I'm an ordinary human being, as well as a Buddha, and so are all of you. I'm having trouble getting that bit to go in. I either get stuck on a pedestal or dumped in a ditch. Why? It's simple. And yes, you can. Because if you're here today, you had the karma to be here. And that's the first sign of being ready for this. By accident, you ended up here. Oh, it didn't feel like an accident. It felt on purpose to you. But of all the things you could be doing today, this is what you ended up doing. That's karma. Manifesting karma says you're ready to hear this. Good. The highest, most secret teachings of the Tibetan Dharma. Meditation is always perfect, ideal. Don't fix it. Confused, distracted, single-pointed focused, to the left, to the right, bright, dim, annoyed, feelings, thoughts, perceptions. Let go. Stop poking at them. Stop trying to fix everything and get it the way you want it. You're creating karma. Stop that. Meditation is a brief period of vacation from creating more karma that will manifest as sensations here and there. There is no unsatisfactory meditation. No need to judge your thoughts, feelings, and perceptions as good or bad. Let go. Just sit there. Sit in your own place, in your own condition, just as it is, and leave it be. Forget all these self-conscious feelings like, I'm meditating. My meditation is shit today. Oh, wow, this session worked. Okay, those might pass through as thoughts. Don't entertain them. Don't make them a cup of tea and give them a cookie. Hi, bye. Without effort, without strain, without attempts to control or force, and without trying to be peaceful. Leave it be as it is. The winds are still moving through your channels. You're slowing them down when you take the proper physical position. You're straightening the channels. Oh, it's still going to whistle. You're going to have thoughts, feelings, perceptions. Just the chi in the channels, blown over the little pips like in the music box. Let it be. If you leave it be long enough, it unravels, unwinds. The moment you poke at it, you create another pip. Don't try to stop thinking. Don't suppress your thinking. Don't try to think peaceful thoughts rather than violent, horny, lustful, grasping, selfish thoughts. They're all made of the same thing. Dark clouds, white clouds, born in the sky and dissolve into the sky, and don't leave any residue in the sky. Leave them alone. Leave them be. There are bracelets. Blue bracelets. Those little plastic things that say in Tibetan and English, relax, let go, leave it be. Right now, Karen has a bunch. If you would like to receive them, you can contact her. Would you put Karen and Vicky's?
Karen Presswood?
Yes. Email in the chat.
Yes.
You can contact her, and you can send some money for her to send one to someone else. And someone else will send some money for one to be sent to you for postage. The bracelet that don't cost anything. I have a bunch of them. They were given to me and I will give them away. It's just because I'm not traveling postage. And she'll tell me when she runs out, and I'll send more to her, or we'll pick someone else to do this if she doesn't feel like it. Another volunteer. It helps you remember this. It's just a little mnemonic. Little blue, sky blue plastic. I don't have one right here to show you. After you've done that, would you look in that box and
Yes.
see if there's one in there?
Yeah, let me put the email into
Yes.
the comment.
If we find we are disturbing ourselves in these ways during our practice, stop trying to meditate. Just rest and relax for a while and then resume. Short sessions better than long sessions. They should grow naturally, and they should not end when you get off the cushion or begin when you get on the cushion. In the words of Garab Dorji, at all times and on all occasions, notice the already known Dharmakaya nature of mind. Symbols, great mother ocean of Dharmakaya. In the box, which you can just lift up the lid of.
Ah, yes. Let's try it that way.
If they're in there, they're near the top.
No, what's here is the
tatas. Anything else under them? Just stick a hand down.
More texts.
Okay. And then they're out in the yurt.
Okay.
The big gompa.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Would you grab one so I can show people what they look like?
Yes.
You see, I am always giving stuff away when I travel, and I can't travel. So I have an accumulation of gifts. Well, they're not doing me any good. I got them to give away. So I'm looking for new ways to do that because it's ever so much fun for me. I like giving stuff away. It's fun. And then people give me stuff. If we find that we are disturbing ourselves in any of these ways, simply stop meditating and rest or relax for a while. Just sit there. Then when you feel for it, resume. If you get interesting experiences either during or after meditation, don't make a big deal out of them. To spend time thinking about experiences is simply a distraction and an attempt to grab onto this or that and create something unnatural.
I just grabbed a handful.
I'm going to try to hold these closest. Can you read that? That's in Tibetan. And this side's in English. And you put them here. And they help you remember. I have lots. This isn't all big bag. So if you want one, you're most welcome to it. You just have to give one to someone. So send postage for someone else to receive one, and you go on a list, and as people send postage for more people to receive them, you get them. That way you're giving them. You can request if you have other people in your area that you see who have had these teachings, and I give them all the time, the pointing out. That's what we're doing, actually. Told you I gave those almost every time I come on here. And they want one, you can ask 2 be sent to you or 3 be sent to you for those people. Let them go about, but don't leave them on your altar. That's not what they're for. Wear it. Let it do its work of reminding you before the plastic is affected by time and disintegrates like, old rubber bands. That will happen someday. So use it before it does. Don't preserve it for posterity or stuff it inside a statue or a stupa or any of these things. Don't worship it. It's a tool. Okay? Goes on your wrist. You see it. It reminds you. That's how it works. Not just another holy object to go live on your altar. The continual stream of new discovery, revelation and inspiration which arises at every moment is the manifestation of our clarity. Really, it doesn't go away. Learn to see everyday life as the mandala, whether it hurts or not. That is your interpretation of a sensation, your perception. And we talked about how those happen. Don't try to fix it directly. Either relax into it and let it wind down, or if you are strongly invested in getting things a certain way, manipulate the necessary symbols. But don't thwap at it, that never works. Trying to get rich by chasing money? Trying to find love by looking for it? That's how we get broken pickers. A broken picker is someone with a broken picker is someone who inevitably chooses unsuitable lovers, who either abuse them or betray them or for whatever reason. Learn to see everyday life as the mandala, the luminous fringes of experience which radiate spontaneously from the empty nature of our being. The aspects of our mandala are the day-to-day objects of our life experience, moving in the dance or play of the universe. Notice this. Relax with this. Don't grab it. Don't try to memorize the words. In this now and every now, relax into the natural state. By this symbolism, the inner teacher reveals the profound and ultimate significance of being. Therefore, we need to be natural and spontaneous, accepting and learning from everything. This enables us to see the ironic and amusing side of the events that usually irritate us. There's an old monastic Zogchen saying that I have found very useful. Zogchen is like anal sex. If you don't relax, it won't go in. I wish I'd made that one up, but I didn't. It's ancient. Monks, you know. You cannot grasp this. You have to relax into it. Work with symbols if there is a manifestation that you wish to create the cause for. Light, rejoicing, or pure Dzogchen. Leave it be as it is. Dance the dance of form in emptiness and emptiness as form. Are there questions?
Yes.
Give us a couple.
Just a comment I'll have to pass on later privately. That's funny, but moving on to the questions, is there a conflict between Treksha meditation to neutralize karma and practices designed to create good karma?
No. None at all. such time as enough good karma has been accumulated that it in itself becomes distracting and you need to let go, then yes. One of those yes and no answers. Next question.
Talking about, oh yes. Can we placate the unseen beings that affect the pandemic as the numbers climb?
Yes. By performing ecological actions. That's what they're upset about. So, contraceptives, we're overpopulated. Recycling, we make too much garbage. Minimize your carbon footprint. Stop using all the fancy stuff. Like that. That will pacify them. Oh, there's ceremonies, but the ceremonies go with the practical behavior, not instead of the practical behavior. Next question.
This play with symbols isn't this the same technique through which placebos can change an ongoing disease?
Yup, exactly. They're a symbol. But this goes deeper. That's very surface level. Next. This will actually change your perception of reality, what you do with symbols.
What happens to the souls of those eaten by demons? It's something you mentioned earlier.
But there's no such thing as a soul. And all they do is eat the life force of the body. You reincarnate somewhere. Although it's really an unpleasant accident and usually leaves some PTSD residue. Soul? There's no soul. Never found one. There is no single thing about you, that is unchanging. We call the continuous, it's like a waveform through time. You know, a wave, a sound wave, there's not actually an object that travels from me. Well, maybe there is. No, from me to the microphone, and from the microphone through the electric cords and coming out your speakers into your ears. No object moves that different distance. Just waves. Molecules of air bump onto molecules of air until they bump onto things in here where they're transformed into electrons, where they bump onto each other through wires. The electrons don't travel through the wires. They bump each other. The movement travels. Do you understand this? Even the internet is broadcast by waves. Whether it comes through cables, there's no object moving through the cables. You're like that, from past to present to future. There is no soul thing that moves through time. Just moments bumping each other that think they're you. For habitual reasons. Next question.
A couple of seasonal questions. One person asked, the Kunzang Manlam, which emphasizes practice during the solstice, promises awakening within 3 lifetimes. How is this possible?
But why not? Awakening is relatively easy. It's right here, right now, in this moment. I've been pointing at it for the past hour. Why would that not be possible? If you do the practice which works with symbols. Manlam is repetition, verbally utilizing the speech chakra and the symbols of letters and speech to create patterns in the universal unconscious and to utilize those patterns, creating patterns in the individual mind stream, which changes it. Creates the cause. Now, by what story it will occur for you You actually can choose that too. Like my spaceship. Next question.
This is going back to the discussion around the depression practice. One person asked, my daughter is using hard drugs. I am afraid she is going to die. Is there anything I can do? And people have asked about using the depression practice to combat certain addictions, whether it's smoking, sex, whatever.
No, that would be a completely different topic. Addictions are a bugger. I have a feeling that 12-step works better than Tibetans. The way Tibetans combat addictions is to take a vow against doing that and then just stop. Cold turkey. It works in that culture for those people in the paradigm they exist in. I have not found that method to be particularly effective for Westerners living in the Western paradigm. It only works for me when I'm thinking in Tibetan, living among Tibetans. I am not an expert on addiction. I do not have an addictive personality, particularly, and have been through a number of substances that are considered highly addicted and found them not particularly difficult to stop. The exception being perhaps the most addictive of all substances, the Native Americans' revenge nicotine, which we stole from them, but did not steal the instructions of using it safely, which is to be used only of a ceremonial nature. Oops, that one's a bugger. I have had periods where I drink like a fish and periods where it doesn't interest me. I've been a mainlining junkie in Tangiers. That was interesting. I did it because I was reading William Burroughs at the time and it sounded like fun. I got bored with it after 6 months or so and stopped because it was no longer interesting. And yeah, I was shooting up heroin, morphine, and I got bored with it. So I'm really the wrong person to help you with that. I also am what's that word for gender?
Fluid?
Gender fluid. All have lived as a man, as a woman, different things in my life. I've always felt gender fluid, even before they had a word for it. And non-monogamous. Never had a monogamous relationship since the one at 14 that was troublesome. And I decided I wasn't going to do that again. So, issues of jealousy, monogamy, I'm the wrong person to talk to. I don't know. Issues of addiction, I'm probably the wrong person to talk to there. Conversely, if you're autistic or an Aspie, I'm a right person to talk to because so am I. So, ask another Lama who has more dealings with this. I don't have the answer. Next question.
A number of people were asking about the text you were reading from and the quote from Dilgo.
Yes, okay. So that's available online, and I've only read you excerpts, not the whole thing.
What's the
Google it.
title?
And first I'm holding it up so they can see it. The title on here is Zogchen Practice in Everyday Life
Yes.
by His Holiness Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche.
Okay, someone also posted a link into the comments.
Great.
So
If you want to read the whole thing, go for it.
Yeah.
That way you'll know what I was adding in, because when I read and give excerpts from something, I also explain it in context. So usually the way you can tell is whether I'm looking at the paper or looking at you. It's me talking if I'm looking at you, and it's the written text if I'm looking down. But it's nice to get a copy. Other questions?
How does one balance the water element in one's body or life? Lately, I've been having obstacles manifesting like blocked drains, leaking ceiling. I'm afraid of deep water.
Damn good question. I've been having water dreams for the past 2 days, feeling it's out of balance for me too. And I will be having Geshe Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche again teaching on this channel on balancing the elements. I am not enough of an expert at that to guide you through it, but I will bring you, within the next month or two, an expert. That's the best I can do. I don't know everything, but I try to find a resource. The other guest teacher we're going to have soon is one who will be teaching on how to teach Zogchen to toddlers. That will be Lama Candice O'Denver, who has written some toddlers' books, also together with a toddler who's a Zogchen practitioner named auspiciously Garab Dorji, named after, in honor of, the great master Garab Dorji. Adamantine lovable one is the meaning of that word, that name. We haven't set the date yet, but she'll be coming soon, teaching Zogchen for toddlers, actually for toddlers' parents. I think that will be interesting. I do not have experience with this, and some people asked me for it, so I looked around to see who might be good at that I could actually vouch for their actual Lamaness. Because I didn't want to bring you something too far away from the tradition within which we're working without stating that it was something else. Try to keep that clean. I'll tell you if I'm giving you a piece that I got from the Druids or the Native Americans or the Sufis or the Yoruba lineages. Mostly what I give you on here is straight Tibetan tradition. Next question.
Going back to seasonal practices, are there any certain incenses or ways of making sound that one should use if you're doing things like a solstice practice or what have you?
Joyous sounds, you pick them. According to your culture, what will sound good? What sounds good to a Tibetan ear does not sound good to a Western ear. Whole different tonal system. What sounds good are the sounds. What smells good and is ecologically sound. So certain sandalwoods are becoming rare and stripped, as is frankincense trees. So you might want to look into the ecologically soundness of whatever incense you're using. I like in this season juniper or cedar. I'm only allergic to the pollen, not the leaves and branches. And so my house is full of cedar, but not cedar cones open to pollinate. Didn't bring those in. Next question.
The remaining questions are more generic. They're less related to the
Okay,
topic.
then we're at about 1, and I did say if I had time, I'd tell you about my spaceship. So, even though in pure Dzogchen, one has to recognize enlightenment in the now. If there is a particular story one would like to live, as the process of actualizing and dispersing that, by working with symbols, one can create that. Choose the story. And I've always wanted a spaceship ever since I was 3 and looked up at the stars, so far, far away, and with all my heart and soul wanted to go there. Out. A long time ago, in Kathmandu Valley, there was a chicken farmer, an old woman, and she had 3 sons by probably 3 different fathers. She never married. And she actually became quite wealthy raising chickens and selling eggs. Her oldest son she had 3 sons. I'm trying to remember. The oldest son bred dogs. And the middle son bred horses. And the youngest son, I think, bred pigs. Pigs or goats. But they were all animal breeders. The oldest son was very into genetics and lineages and making notes and how it all fit together to get the best dogs possible. And his dogs were quite popular as herd dogs or pet dogs, different kinds that he bred. And the middle son, who bred horses, loved to be riding in lovely clothes, a perfect stallion, and bred horses among the aristocrats, sold them to the aristocrats, and went among them dressed finely and loved that lifestyle and the breeding of horses. Mom sold eggs. And the youngest boy, he was into the equivalent in those old days of comic books. Legends, superheroes. He helped his moms with the chickens. He probably bred some animals on the side. He was probably going to take over mom's chickens eventually. But he was about 14. The oldest one was in his 20s, almost 30. And the middle one was in his 20s. Loved status and beauty. So she had these 3 sons, and she became wealthy from her chicken husbandry. She was good at it. So she went to the king and she asked the king for permission and a piece of land to build a stupa. And the king said, well, okay. You find some land, an area, and you can build a stupa there, and I will give you that land. You show me what you need. And then the ministers said, oh my God, you've never built a stupa. Now this simple chicken seller is going to build a stupa. What's this going to do to your reputation? People are going to say, why didn't the king build a stupa? And the king said, okay, I have spoken, so we can't go against this, because the king has spoken. So how can I mitigate the problems here? And they suggested that he just give her a very small piece of land. So he got the skin of a cow, and he gave it to her. And he said, you can have as much land anywhere in my kingdom that you can encompass with the cow skin. So she said, "Thank you so much." And she cut the cow skin into thin strips and tied the ends together with tiny knots and circled a vast piece of land out by Swayambhu in the Bodhanath Valley. Big land. And she went to the king and she showed him that she had encompassed it with a cow skin. The minister said, "Don't do it, take back." The king said, "I can't, I have spoken." So she gained permission to build that stupa. And that stupa is called Kaden Sholap, which means the king has spoken. Stupa. It is a very famous stupa. It is the great stupa in Bodhanath. If you see my business card ever, it has the eyes from that stupa on it. I've always loved those. Story. And you can try to keep this on and just give it a moment. If it does come back, please simply inform people that I've taken the opportunity to take a leak.
Signal is, the Facebook signal has come back.
We are having technical difficulties.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but it's back now.
Okay, is YouTube back?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just continue and see.
Back.
Anyway, the prophecy had been that for those who participated in building of this stupa, when it was consecrated and finished, they could each make a wish and the wish would come true. So there was a legend at that time of the land of snows to the north, that someday the Dharma, which was very much there in Kathmandu Valley, would journey to the lands to the north, the lands of snows. But it hadn't done so yet. This is before the Dharma came to Tibet. This is a very old story. So at the time, she had passed on and died of old age. And her sons continued the work and finished building it. And at the time of the consecration and during that celebration, there are many stories of the wishes made. But her oldest son said, his wish was, "When the Dharma goes to the land of the snows, I wish to be a great scholar and bring the Dharma there." He was reborn as Bodhidharma. And the younger brother, who loved the fine horses and status, or the middle brother, his wish, loving all the finery, when the Dharma goes to the land of the snows, I will be reborn as a great king and bring it there. Trisong Detsen. This was a past life of Trisong Detsen. The king who is recognized as primarily operative in bringing Guru Rinpoche to Tibet. And the youngest son is about 13 or 14, and he's into stories, superheroes. So he thinks to himself, okay, I'm going to go along with my brothers. When the Dharma goes to the land of the snows, I'm going to become a great sorcerer and slay all the demons and fuck all the women. Typical 14-year-old boy, right? And that's how the stories of Guru Rinpoche came to occur. A Monla made at a time of the culmination of a very powerful, long-acting action of Gewa. So Rinpoche and I with many others. And there are other stories of the wishes made by the elephant that worked on it, and the donkey, and the king, and the other people. But those are other stories, too long to go into now, when our signal may bounce again. Rinpoche and I, for how long did it take to build that from the time we broke ground until it was consecrated? 20 years?
11.
11 full years.
Yeah, the first 3 were just the foundation.
And not just Rinpoche and I, but all of us raised the money, worked with workers, horses, donkeys, people, built the great Guru Rinpoche statue that overlooks the Sopema Lake. Rinpoche had the idea to do so, like the chicken seller. Fortunately, it was finished within his lifetime and consecrated. And knowing of these stories, and being at heart a bit of a 14-year-old boy myself, I made a monlam. When the Dharma goes back out to the stars from whence it came, I will have a great starship and travel among the far-flung stores and bring the Dharma home. That was my monlam. Now, if you try enough, by making monlam and creating gewa towards it, you can enjoy living this story with me. I mean, I need a crew. So, that's the story of Lama Lena's spaceship. And when the time comes, it will happen. It wasn't just one life before, when the great stupa was built and Dharma went to Tibet. It was some time before. So when the time is ripe, I get to live the story of those symbols. I choose, just for fun. Since I have already taken the Bodhisattva vows and recognized the giggle within them to exist throughout time in one form or another for the sake of all life. So as such, I might as well enjoy my 14-year-old boy stories. I hope to sleep with all the men, women, and aliens and fight all the monsters. Yeah. There's still a 14-year-old boy in here. So there's my spaceship story. And it's just a personal thing that Lama Lena did, inspired by an old story, because Rinpoche and I have both always tried to live by the old stories. That's what they're for. Nge wandi nyur duda chi chi sala go pashu. May all beings, as all Buddhas, recognize their own completion. So it is, and we are complete for today. I think the next 2 coming up teachings are private, but let me look, because I like to tell you about what's upcoming as we close one of these. And no, that's not what I meant to look at. Wrong calendar.
Yeah, I also
This
have
calendar. I should have it up. Teaching schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah. Pointing out instructions is private.
Yeah, next is another one of those pointing out instructions, which you got today anyway, guys. But that's one of the sign up for. I limit it to 50.
Yeah.
And in January, on Sunday we're doing the outer, inner, no, we just did that. That was today.
Right. No, there's Nundro and
Pointing out instructions is 2 days. Yes, it usually is. And then there's a Nundro teaching on the 9th and Refuge on the 10th. So those are all private, limited number. And it's just a first come, first serve. For the Nundro, it is you can only get in there. That one is on prostrations, and it's only if you've been doing prostrations. And that teaching is going to be me checking in on people who have been doing prostrations for a few months now to see how it's going and if they need help. If you wish to be part of Nundro, you must have been doing prostrations for a couple of weeks before you join the group. The next one is going to be somewhere towards later in the month, probably, which will be also on Zoom with the Nundro group of those who are doing the extraordinary Nundro, is going to be Vajrasattva. But I will also teach that outside of the Nundro context as a standalone practice, as an open practice. I'll probably do both those on the same weekend. But we haven't scheduled them yet, and I need to talk with my scheduler about that. The one who, it's different people who schedule open and Zoom, because Zoom works with keeping lists, waiting lists. It's rather fiddly. Jan handles that. And open teachings are easy. They don't require lists or fiddly. I just have to tell you about them. So that's what's coming up, but please go to the website and check the calendar every week or so if you're interested in more teachings to see what's going to be on there, because I don't really send out email announcements. And we've talked about putting together a newsletter to go out every few months, but nobody yet has done that. They'll do it when they get to it, or somebody will decide that's something they really want to be doing and in charge of, and they'll do that. You know, it's all what students want, enough to put forth the effort to make it happen, because I can't do everything. I just teach. I'm old. I can't even run around as much as I used to. Anyway, enough nattering. We're done for today. I'll see you all next time. There will be more open teachings in January. There'll be a standard Q&A, big general all-topic Q&A, and there'll be a flight of Garuda as well, because I try to do those every month. Okay? And we are complete. Bye-bye.
I can turn off.
Yes.